Hello and welcome to video 2 in the Psychedelic Trance music production course. This video is regarding bass. The tool that we're going to be using is VB-1, which comes with Cubase SX3. You can also find it on the Cubase 4 disc, or you can download it from the Cubase FTP site, which I will put an address up for. Okay, now a lot of people say that VB-1 is this, it's that, it's been overused, etc, etc. Yeah, it has been used a lot, but I'm a great believer in if you can get a good result out of it, then use it. Some other VSTs that I would advise you to try, obviously not everybody's going to be using Cubase that's watching this video, so you could try Chronox. I think it's up to 3.5 now. You can try Trilogy, you can try Muon Tao. There's hundreds of them out there, but the principles are pretty much the same. In this tutorial, the bass I'm going to show you how to create is probably the most complicated way that you could do it, because I'm going to use a lot of plugins. It doesn't have to be this complicated, but I thought I would show you a complicated way to do it, and then you can work out ways of simplifying the process for yourself. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a folder track and call it bass. And then I'm going to add an instrument track. Again, those of you using anything below Cubase 4, you would just use the F11 and add a VST as normal. Okay, we'll just drop that in there and I'll just call that bass. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is just create a very simple bass pattern. And I'll use G, and I'll just put an offbeat in there. So we've got, sounds fantastic. Okay, now obviously, where are we with this? Yeah, I think we'll drop that an octave, in fact. That's better. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is shape VB1 itself. Just leave it on basic bass, drop the plectrum and the back plate all the way to the far left, increase the volume to max, and that should sound a bit better straight away. Okay, now this is where the complicated bits come in with regards to the effects that we're going to use to shape this bass. Now the first effect that we're going to use is the Oxford Dynamics plugin. I'll just turn it off for the time being. Next in the chain is going to be an EQ, which I'll be using the Cambridge. After the Cambridge, I'll be using good old Quadra Files, which again is a Cubase plugin. That can again be found on the FTP if you don't have it. One of my favourites is the Vintage Warmer. And last in the chain, sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't use it. I just use a Waves Monell EQ. We could use, I guess, Q2 would do fine. So, but whether or not I actually use that, we'll find out soon enough. Okay, first thing, Oxford Dynamics. We're going to use this to kind of compress the sound. You don't have to use this plugin. Again, it's just the compressor that I'll be using. So the reason I use this is I just like it. I could use my UAD compressors, I could use wave compressors, I could use any type of compressor, the Cubase compressor, whatever. Just in this case, when I made the track, it just so happens that I used this. So the first thing we're going to do is deal with the threshold, and of course, as usual, there should be presets for these. So if I go load, yeah, if you look in the folder that you should have downloaded with the presets, you should see a Cubase Guru bass.spt. Again, as in previous Oxford Dynamics presets, you need to copy that into the C program file Sonox Oxford plugins presets native Oxford dynamics. Once you've done that, it will show up in here. Now I'll probably just need to turn that off, bring it back in, and go load. There, Cubase Guru Bass. If you do that, it will set it up to the correct settings. However, I'll just put that back to boss. I will go through the settings with you. Okay, first thing we're going to deal with the threshold. The threshold is at what point the compressor is going to kick in. But again, I'm not going to go through. This is about making music. It's not about the technicalities of compression or reverb or whatever it may be. I'm just going to show you what I've done, a quick explanation of how I've done it. It won't be an explanation of compression. So the threshold on this, in this case, is set to 24.64 dB, and if we just play while we're doing it, because that's up there. Okay, so as you can see, it's compression by up to about 7 dB, which we can sort out later. As you can see also, right, we don't want any of these on, we just want to work with the compressor on this. The input and the output, that's the input signal, that's the output signal. As long as that doesn't clip, we should be good to go. Okay, we want a fast attack because it's bass, around about 0.68 is how I had it set. As you can see, the compressions, it's now really pumping on. The compression starting to tighten it up. Yeah, we'll leave the hold as it is. We'll make the release fast. I guess there will do it. Starting to really tighten up. Ratio's not too bad there actually. That'll do. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. And right, so we're compressing about almost 10 dB, so let's up it. Even more. Okay, that sounds quite good so far. Now, what you can also do, in the folder that you downloaded, you will see folders called Cubase 4 and 5 preset. You should be able to use those in Cubase. So if you copy those need to be copied into your application data folder. I'll put up a link to exactly where that is. But if you copy that into the application data folder, when you click in here and go load preset, it will turn up like that. So that's the compression dealt with. And if we can just listen to that with a kick, I guess. Okay, not bad. Still sounding a bit loose, but we've got loads to do to it yet. Okay, EQ. Again, there's presets for this. You'll have the Cubase 5 preset, Cubase 4 and 5 preset, but you'll also have, if you come down here and go load preset, again, if you go to where you downloaded the course samples, in there under instrument patches, if you go to UAD, Cambridge EQ, bass, there's a preset there for it, and there's the Cubase one again. Okay, but I'll walk you through this one. Okay, immediately here on the low pass, I want to cut off everything pretty much below 30 Hz. The reason for that I've explained before. We'll use the Butterworth 6. You can use the elliptic, but as you see it, if you use that, it does attenuate certain frequencies, and we don't want that. We want a nice smooth shelf there. Okay, on the low frequencies, which is the red one on this, we'll cut it around about 70 Hz. Yeah, we'll leave the Q as it is, but we'll take it down about 3.5 dB. Basically, what I'm doing here is getting rid of some of the low end muffle. So if I just turn it off, interesting, but that's what we'll use this for, to try and get rid of some of that. Sounds deceptively better with the EQ off, doesn't it? But don't worry about that. So let's change that to -3.6. Okay, in the low mid frequencies, we'll go up to about 179, 180. Again, yeah, that's a wide enough cue point, and just slightly down off this. About -0.7. Yeah, it's getting rid of some of that kind of hollow noise. Yeah, nice. Mid frequencies. Yeah, we'll go up to about 560 on this. Again, this is us starting to get to the kind of mid range. We're looking to tidy this up a bit. We'll make this cue point about, if we listen to this, okay, we're starting to remove some of the kind of mid frequency. It's almost like a kind of hollow type sound. We want to get rid of some of that anyway, for sure. So -5.8 should do it. Now if I mix that to the kick, just so we get a proper level. Okay, it's okay at that. Actually, I'll just turn it up for the sake of the video. Okay, so okay, that's not too bad. And the high mid frequencies, we'll come down a bit from there, and we'll kind of remove quite a bit of this. I think a nice wide cue point. And this is where we start to get rid of some of the top end and tighten it up a bit. Okay, so we're getting there now. Now for the high frequencies. In the case of the high frequencies, I've brought in the shelf EQ. And where are we going to go? We'll go about 2,500, and nice 50% cue point on this. Leave it on band A. Let's really bring it down. So this is where it should start to really tighten up real nice. Get rid of some of that excess click that we don't really want. Okay, that's sounding a bit better. I'm sounding nice and punchy now. And again, if you want to use the preset, if you just come here, load preset, and load it from your UAD folder, and it should be the same if we go load preset. Yeah. Okay, so that's sounding better already. Okay, next on the agenda was Quadra Files. Now this is for adding kind of bottom end, but also tightening it up and making it a little bit more squelchy. Same as all the rest of them, the presets are already there for you to use. Now everything's, don't touch any of this stuff here, we're just really concerned with this. So normally the way I use it is I drop everything, press play, take the kick off, figure out where I want it to start operating. In this case it's 45 Hz. And this band should be on 99, making it nice and thin. and then move it till find somewhere I like it. And it doesn't need much because that's bottom end, remember, so just be careful with it. The next band is this one here, so again that should be 99 up to yeah, let's bring that down a bit, 368. Yeah, that sounds okay. That's kind of brought out the bass is starting to sound rounder now. So from 368 up to 1.4 I've got this, and let's have a listen to this. Okay, that's nice sound, but we want it a little bit more subtle than that. Yeah, that sounds okay. And the final one, 1.4 to 22, and obviously this is going to bring out the click, so we just want to do it a little bit. That's sounding nice, I like that. Starting to shape up well. And next on the agenda is the PSP Vantage Warmer 2. Now we're going to use this to add warmth, that kind of final bass, underlying bass sound. So what we need to do is, first thing we'll start on, if we just press play, drive, you can go a bit crazy on the drive, but let's just put a little bit of drive in at the moment. So round about there. Go to the knee, you'll hear it starting to jump out straight away, so we don't need that much. It's 16.5%, something like that. That'll do. And then the speed, this is the speed of the compression. Anyway, that's too much. Keep bringing it down. That'll do it. Quick release. Leave them both off. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. That should do that. Okay, so that's pretty much the compression section here. What you've got over here is, for want of a better way of putting it, an EQ. You can choose your frequencies, adjust the on this side you adjust the low, so you pick the amount of decibels, you pick the frequency, and same with the highs. Then you've got a mix amount and an output amount. So in this case, the low frequency, the frequency we want is 74.1 Hertz. And the adjust should be set to about -9.6. Okay, so we're just kind of EQing that out a bit, and as you can hear, it's really bringing the the bass right out. It's really starting to have a life of its own now and starting to sound pretty bouncy and round, which is what we're after. So yeah, 74.1 is where we should be. Okay, there or thereabouts. Mix it 100%. The adjust should be set to about -9, I guess. Maybe a bit more than that. Okay, and the frequency on the high, 283, about here somewhere, and we want to adjust that. rid of some more of that click. Okay, that's sounding really good now. Put the output to whatever you want, but generally I just leave it at 0, there or thereabouts. Okay, so that's sounding much better. Nice. Okay, and last but not least is the Monell EQ. Now, as I said, sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just use it, put one in, put high pass on there, put two in, put high pass on there as well. Drop them both 30, and it's just really covering everything that we've just done, just making sure that nothing kind of gets in below 30. So, but sometimes the first EQ's already dealt with that anyway. It's just in case there's any harmonics or anything being introduced with these after this first EQ, we can just clean it up here. So if we listen, this is a stereo channel at the moment. We want to create it into a mono channel, so if I'll do this while it's playing and you can hear the difference. Right click, stereo combined, and just double click on the L and the R and put a C there. Okay, so that's tightened it right up. Sorry, I do apologise, that should have been in the start. Okay, I'll show you a good way of creating bass patterns now. Okay, just before I show you how to create a bass pattern, I forgot on the Quadra Fuzz, put the output to 10 dBs, just to give it a little extra power. And you should, once you've done that, you should have this. Okay, cool. Right, creating bassline patterns. Now, a lot of the time people get really thrown with this, which is understandable, because now is when you should choose what key you're going to work in and create your bassline according to that. Now, I'm not going to get into theory and stuff like that. There is other videos on my website that will teach you kind of the basics of that kind of stuff. Now, I don't know a lot about theory myself. I understand enough to do things like chord progressions, key changes. I understand keys, things like that, but I am by no means good at theory. However, I do understand a few basic principles, which allows me to choose the key I wish to work in. And for instance, this bass sound, I think sounds really good here. So, which is an E, and I like minor scales for Psytrance. Most of them are. So I'm going to do it in E minor. Now, the way to kind of work out a good way to figure out what notes are in a minor chord or a major chord for that matter is if you use this little. It's almost like a little equation, I guess. So to work out a minor chord, or what keys are in a minor scale, if you just remember this: T, S, T, T, S, T, T. Okay, that stands for tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. So in the case of E minor, you start on the key of E, or the note of E, sorry, and then you would go tone, so it's two semitones from there, so it's tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone, and that's your E minor. And you can use any of the notes in there. Okay, very quick, very brief, but again, this is just about making music. It's not about theory. Okay, so this is the way I make my bass lines. I bring it all the way back like this. So basically what I'm using is 1/4 of a bar. I put the kick on, play the kick, and then I start to work out my notes. So normally I do that. Okay, it's okay. I'm just going to, but it's not what I'm after in this case. So I'm going to put that up by an octave. Let me just tighten this up a little bit. So in Cubase I just go shift and push the up, and it puts it up an octave, but I'm also going to make the note longer. So let's listen. I like that. Okay, so when I find something I like, I then move along to the next quarter, and again I'll draw in my 3 basic notes to start with, and then I'll make variations on this theme. So this time I'm going to put this one up, going to make this one longer. What we got? Sounding good to me. Okay, and that's how I work out my bass line. So the next one, I'll go to my next quarter, draw another 3 basic ones. So okay, what am I going to do with this one? I'm going to use that one, pop that up, and I'll make this one longer. Yeah, that sounds like it's just ready to take off, that one. Okay, now the last quarter of the bar, again, my 3 notes, and what am I going to do with this one? I'm going to make it the same as this section here, I think. So I shall elongate that, put that up. Okay, and that's the first bar done, and then go to the next section. Now what do I want to do with this one? Oops. Again, my 3 notes. And as you can see, these are all, well, it's only an octave up, so at the moment we don't have to worry about it drifting out of key or anything. For this one, I'm going to move that one up, elongate this, and then I'm going to do the same again. I'll just duplicate that. And then for the next one, what am I going to do this time? Okay, I'm going to, again, my 3 notes, but this time I'm going to put that up an octave. I'm going to elongate that, and then I'm going to show you a classic Psytrance pattern change to give a bit of groovy change that's going to come. Take your 3 notes and put them up 3 semitones to there. So listen. How many times have you heard that? And just for a bit of variety, on the last one, again, my 3 notes. I'll put this one up 2 semitones, this one up to there. Again, that's different, and I'll put this one up to there. Now, what you can see is, right, I'll let you hear it first. Okay, so what I've done here is, this is where you need to know what notes are in your key, because in this case here, I've moved them up 3 semitones, or transposed them up 3 semitones if you like. Now, G, so we go from here, G's definitely in, and that's just G as well, so we know that that's not a problem. Now what about this note? Because we only moved this up 2 semitones, but we know if we start here and we use the T, S, T, T, S, T, T, we go tone, we know it's in the right note, it can be used, which is great. What have we got up here? We've got another G, we know that's right. What about this one? Yeah, we know that that's right because it's just an octave up from there. So we know that they're all in the correct key. Sounding good to me. Just mix the volumes in. That's it. Obviously these are a bit too loud, so there's no point in using them at the moment. But sounding good to me. Okay, so in this lesson we covered the VST that we were going to use for bass, which was VB-1. We set the VB-1 up before we added several different types of processing to VB-1, all of which can be used on any synth that you may desire to use, and you don't have to use them all. My personal philosophy is start off with the best type of sound that you can. So if you're going to use a saw wave, find a really nice clean saw wave, and before you add any dynamic processing at all, or any type of processing to the synth itself, use the ADSR controls on the filter envelope and the amplitude envelope. Use the cut-off frequencies, the resonance, use everything that you can on the synth to get the sound sounding as good as you can, and then just use minimum processing on it. In this case I showed you that probably one of the hardest, longest winded ways to make bass, but it's good to start here because then you understand the processes that each one of these has on the sound, and then you will know that you can take some away and you can make your life a little bit easier. Once we've done that, I showed you how to create a bass pattern. Very basic bass pattern. As you can see, there's no velocity information on here. You could use velocity changes to create different feels. And for instance, I could show you just on like a section like this. As you can see, it's creating a different pattern straight away. You do all sorts of things with velocities. Velocities are cool. You can, if you're really lazy or just like total randomness, which I do sometimes, in Cubase, if you click on record note on velocity, select the first note and then just randomly hit the keyboard 6 times. There you go, you've given yourself some random velocities. Which is a bit random and not really the best way to do it, but sometimes it can give you some cool results. Okay, that was bass. I hope that helped, and I'll see you in the next part of the course, which will be regarding synths. Okay, thanks very much.